You can listen to The Professional Left wherever you get your podcasts, on Outrage Radio, or at our website, proleftpod.com, where you can also contribute to this podcast. There's a PayPal button at our website, or you can mail us a letter and or contribution at P.O. Box 9133, Springfield, Illinois, 62791.
This is the podcast for March 17th, 2026. It's not safe for work.
Recorded live from the Cornfield Resistance, where it's primary election day here, and we're recording this as the votes are being counted, so things could get a little weird. It's The Professional Left with Driftglass and Blue Gal.
Hey, Driftglass, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Why, thank you, darling. Happy St. Patrick. I hope dinner was acceptable.
Everybody, dinner was corned beef and cabbage and potatoes and carrots. The food of Driftglass's people.
My people.
And actually, if you check the 23andMe, the food of my people as well, although my grandmother, a Campbell, a Scottish Campbell, is spinning in her grave at the thought.
Deal with it, Granny. Deal with it.
Well, I do have a kind of a shocking reaction or shocked reaction to a social media post from the Chicago Bears, who posted a Photoshop of the Chicago River dyed orange.
Okay.
Do they not understand that orange is the color of Protestantism?
I think that's
British oppression.
The short answer is no.
Okay.
Long answer is, blue and orange.
Yeah.
Bear's color. I understand that.
Yeah.
Wait a day. Wait a week. Unless it's keyed in, like they just did a swap out of green for orange.
That's what they did, and they put a bear. They put a bear on top of it. Like their symbol. They put their logo on top of the river. Right. It was very roughly done, but
Next time, just literally lean out your office and ask an Irish person to come and advise you.
Hey, Kelly, what do you think of this idea? Yeah.
Or there's an episode of Andy Richter Controls the Universe, which all comes down to everybody having to go higher and higher up in HR because they say something insulting. And it's like, well, all I said was something crap about the Irish, and the head of the HR has got, a shillelagh and a little hat, and
Right. Anyway,
let's continue.
Let's continue. We have been asked for the good of the Republic to lend whatever expertise we have regarding the state of the Illinois primary election. Polls just closed about an hour ago. Now, with the stipulation, we will discuss this, but with the stipulation that we add light, not heat, to the conversation. Okay, fine.
Fine. We'll do that. Because we do try to make these things timeless, or at least you can dial into them a year from now, and we're talking about a much broader issue. So, first of all, something you need to know about the primaries is there are no John Fettermans here. None of the three candidates for U.S. Senate in Illinois are going to suddenly flip and turn Republican after running as a Democrat.
And second, if you've never seen the 1964 movie The Best Man, go see it right now.
It's excellent.
Very timely stuff about politics, demagoguery, and ruthlessness.
This is Secretary of State William Russell, candidate for President of the United States. Is he the best man?
You have no sense of responsibility toward anybody or anything. And that is a tragedy in a man, and it is a disaster in a president.
This is Senator Joe Cantwell, candidate for President of the United States. Is he the best man?
You don't understand politics. You don't understand this country.
This is Art Hochstetter, former President of the United States. Will he back the best man?
Power is not a toy that we give to good children. It's a weapon. And the strong man takes it and he uses it.
The basic plot is that three men are running in the primary of an unnamed party for president. It's the Democratic Party, but they got to say we don't mention the name. The other party is in such disarray that whoever wins the primary will definitely win the presidency. And that's more or less the situation in Illinois in the Senate election and in the governor election.
As to the candidates, Juliana Stratton would make a fine senator. But she has what we'll call a Kamala Harris problem. And by that, we mean it's absolutely not her problem. It's a voter's problem.
Yep.
As lieutenant governor, she has been to J.B. Pritzker what Harris was to Biden. His accomplishments are her accomplishments. The case here is obviously different in Harris's case, some of Biden's decisions became a burden for her. And there are a lot of pundits who will tell you that one reason she lost is because she didn't run away from Biden fast enough, yada, yada, which we think is bullshit. But who are we?
Right. We'll never get a job at the Bulwark with an attitude like that, Blue Gal. Now, in Juliana Stratton's case, this should not be a problem since pretty much everyone in Illinois who is not a MAGA Republican dupe is very pleased with Pritzker. You might even call us smug about Pritzker. And yet, we hear way too many white women focus group participants complaining that they don't know where she stands. Now, the latest polling as of right now, which is, I'm sure, obsolete by the time we're done talking, shows her running behind Raja Krishnamurthy and a third candidate, Robin Kelly, who is running well behind both of them. As of this recording, there are still a lot of undecideds, or there were before the polls closed. So it could end up being closer than it looks right now. So, question, why the national interest in this boring race?
Yeah. Well, it's really the only big race happening today. And the only one with any competition. So everyone is in on it. And all the media is on it. But there really is very little to be learned about the state of the nation or national politics here, which is why pundits are straining so hard to see what isn't there.
For example, Blue Gal, you will be shocked to learn that Politico claims to have discovered Democrats in disarray.
Not Politico.
Yes, I know. My go-to for everything politics. They've discovered Democrats in disarray. Quote, a historic Senate opening means a divided Illinois Democratic Party. What? People are voting for different candidates in a primary? Shocking. Shocking. Rival bids by Robin Kelly and Juliana Stratton risk splitting support as Raja Krishnamurthy leads early. Illinois Democrats have a rare opportunity to help send a black woman to the Senate this year, though it's an opportunity that may be blocked by a splintering electorate and competing political loyalties. I know that if my candidate doesn't win, Blue Gal, I'm going to sit out the general election.
No, you are not.
Because I'm a baby.
A bunch of bullshit.
I'm a little baby who doesn't understand how democracy works.
Yeah, yeah. There are parts of this, there are parts of this state and this election that are embarrassing.
Yeah.
The amount of money being spent in this race is embarrassing.
It's obscene.
Obscene, and it should be embarrassing to the Democratic Party. And that's why I think reversing Citizens United needs to move up the list of things that we do as Democrats.
And you've been saying that on every podcast for the last 22 years.
It's hurting our party.
Democracy.
To have to stoop to this level.
That's exactly
have to stoop to this level of how much AIPAC dollars are in the race, and the base doesn't want it. And all they found is a pretty normal primary. The media has found a normal primary for an open Senate seat, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
In a state where whoever wins the primary will almost certainly win the seat. And by the way, where whoever wins is going to get the support of the other two candidates.
Right. Because they're not babies either.
They're not babies either.
Right.
And the other thing, one more thing, the one thing I'm absolutely embarrassed by is what you said earlier. Those white women in the focus groups on that Bulwark focus group podcast that you and I both listen to. White women, Democratic voters in Illinois saying they don't know enough about Juliana Stratton.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
She's the lieutenant governor of the state that you live in, and you've been brought onto this focus group because you are likely to vote in the primary. That means you know something about Democratic politics.
Yep.
You just don't want to say that you're not going to vote for a black woman.
Right.
You're in the outer counties or whatever, wherever you are. I don't give a shit. Cut the racism. If you don't want to vote for her because she's black, have the guts to say so. But this, I don't know anything about her when she's been next to J.B. Pritzker for years is bullshit. And nobody buys that.
I sincerely, again, as with Kamala Harris, I don't know what anyone expects the lieutenant governor or vice president to do, like run against the
more racist than the president, apparently, if you're a Republican.
Yeah, well, that's vitally important. But did you have your own initiatives that are completely separate and apart from the person that you work for?
No.
That you were elected to support? No, of course not. Her agenda. Her policy priorities are Pritzker's.
Right.
It's pretty much that simple. And
she has shown, however, shown leadership skills and capacity because Pritzker has put her to work.
Exactly.
Doing a lot of workforce development stuff, doing a lot of healthcare stuff, childcare stuff, these commissions where you get public-private partnerships. Yeah. Somebody has to sit at the head of that table. And the person speaking for the governor, a lot of the time, was Juliana Stratton doing that work. She has put in, if anybody doesn't know who I voted for in the Senate race,
the hard yards. She put in the hard yards.
She's paid her dues.
Yeah, she certainly has.
So in this race, there are two well-funded candidates, Krishnamurthy and Stratton, and Kelly, who is less well-funded. But Kelly does have the backing of the Congressional Black Caucus, which might be bad news for Stratton. And again, they're counting votes as we speak. Krishnamurthy has also been saying nice things about Kelly, which is pissing off the Stratton people, since it's an obvious ploy on his behalf to drain off voters who might have voted for Stratton otherwise.
Yeah, and Krishnamurthy also started campaigning way early and got a huge media head start thanks to having a ton of money from sources that, as you already mentioned, Democratic-based voters do not approve of. That'd be crypto money, ICE, DHS contractors, and such like.
And AIPAC.
Yeah. Stratton got in late, possibly too late, but she does have the financial support of our billionaire governor, which ain't nothing. And she also has the endorsement, both his endorsement and of our Senator Tammy Duckworth. But this is just normal political stuff.
Yeah.
But against the backdrop of how horny the political media is for any Democrats in disarray story. On the venerable blue balls scale of 1 to 10, they're now clocking in at around 12. God, they want to talk about Democrats in disarray, which is how the usual, normal, rough and tumble of Illinois politics was magically transformed into a big story about splitting and division and splintering and, oh, mama, break out the fainting couch and fetch the smelling salts.
Yeah, the New York fucking Times also knows a free lunch when they see it. Quote, will another black woman join the Senate? This messy primary is set to decide. 2 black female candidates may split Democratic primary voters in Illinois, and anger is growing at well-funded efforts to widen the divide. Unquote. Messy, split, divide. Golly, better make that 2 doses of smelling salts, Driftglass.
Yeah, better lay in a whole case of it, Blue Gal, because there's so much disarray. But you know what happens if you dig down just a few paragraphs into the Times column? This is what you find. Quote, unlike other major Democratic primaries for Senate this year, the contest is not so much a test of the party's ideological or messaging direction. The 3 candidates are broadly similar on policy and style, as there's a fight over identity and who deserves a Senate seat, unquote. But you know what? That's not much of a lead, is it? So much better to frame it as some sort of bar fight that'll be settled on St. Patrick's Day in Chicago.
Yeah. Now, riddle me this. If Politico and the Times and others really wanted a story of rancor and disarray in Illinois primary politics, why not focus on the Republican Party?
Yeah. Shit.
After all, if our candidate doesn't win for the Democratic primary, we're going to have to decide to vote for Republican, Driftglass.
Or independent.
Independent.
Is the Forward Party still a thing, Blue Gal? It is.
We're going to vote for the Democratic nominee.
Of course we are.
U.S. Senate.
Because we're not babies. We're not children.
And all these people that endorse one candidate or another, these public figures, are going to bring their support behind the person that wins the Democratic primary.
Period. Yeah.
Yes, period. Full stop. But instead of running 3 well-known political professionals like the Democratic Party did, the Illinois GOP Senate primary is a freak show with 6 weirdos and nobodies, all competing to see who will get hog slaughtered in the general election in November, which is why bigger name Illinois Republicans like Mike Bost and Darren disgrace to his family name LaHood took a big old pass at running at that office this year. As the noted political philosophers Steely Dan said in their song Deacon Blues, they got a name for the winners in the world. I want a name when I lose. Well, in Illinois, we have a name for when we lose. And at the moment, it's not the Cubs.
No.
Unfortunately for the Cubs. We love the Cubbies. Nope, it's whoever Republicans elect to lose to the Democratic candidate for Senate next fall.
Or if you want to do that, what about the Illinois gubernatorial primary, where four goofballs are competing feverishly to see who will get to lose to J.B. Pritzker in November? You see what we did there? See how clever we are answering our own question? Because in Illinois, it's a foregone conclusion that barring a tectonic event involving pods from space and zombies, whoever wins the Illinois Democratic Senate primary will, along with Pritzker, win at a walk in the general election.
Which, from a policy and governance perspective, is obviously great news, but which, from a fun news stories perspective, has deprived poor Politico readers of the opportunity to learn about characters like perennial Illinois office seeker Jimmy Lee Tillman II, who is the son of longtime now retired Illinois alderwoman Dorothy Tillman, and who runs under the name Dr. Jimmy Lee Tillman II, even though no one can tell you what exactly he is doctor of.
Yeah. According to his campaign website, because we do the homework here at the Professional Left, we check this shit out. Dr. Jimmy Lee Tillman II would like you to know that, quote, our state stands at the crossroads, that Illinois is the battlefield and Chicago is the front line. Quote, I am Dr. Jimmy Lee Tillman II from Chicago, leading the MAGA cavalry as the only GOP candidate who can win Chicago and has the strong name recognition statewide that Republicans need to win in Illinois. I am also the only GOP candidate that the Democrat machine.
Yeah, Democrat machine.
The Democrat machine is afraid to face. Here's a fun fact. The Democratic machine really no longer exists as it used to under Daley, and whatever is left of it is definitely not afraid to face Dr. Jimmy Lee Tillman II, who continues as follows, quote, as a best-selling author, historian, Heritage Foundation Academy Fellow.
That's what he's doctor of, Driftglass.
Yeah, and you forgot president of the Martin Luther King Republicans, unquote, and so forth and so on and so forth.
All right.
Boy.
Dr. Jimmy Lee Tillman II. Then there is Jeannie Evans, a partially self-funded attorney who would like you to know that she is unstoppable, innovative, Illinois, and appears to think that it's 1994. As a, quote, mother, wife, and winning attorney and not a politician.
Yeah.
Once she's in the U.S. Senate, she promises to quote, bring that same unstoppable energy to build Illinois' future, reducing taxes and costs, supporting innovation and education, securing safe communities, and creating opportunities for every family and business. The future doesn't wait. Let's build it.
Let's build it, Blue Gal.
Unquote. That sounds like Bush 2000.
It sounds like Clinton.
It also sounds like Clinton.
92.
ChatGPT, was
Yeah.
worth the money for that one. Not a word about MAGA, America First, or Donald Trump is to be found anywhere in her campaign website, though she is running as a Republican.
Right. And let's not forget Pamela Denise Long, occupational therapist and political newcomer who has heard the Sirens Song of the Senate also. Quote, we are in a fight for the soul of our nation. Cancel culture is off the rails. Have you met Donald Trump? Gender ideology has gone too far. Mass immigration has flooded our neighborhoods and job sites, unquote. Yeah, like building houses and roofs and stuff. And, quote, I never wanted to be a politician. You're going to hear a theme here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to be a politician. I was convinced to run for office after Illinoisans tapped me to help stop the flood of illegal immigrants into Chicago. Unlike the powers that be, I've spent the last 4 years and hundreds of hours listening to a diverse array of voices in my head. No, that's not right. A diverse array of Americans express their needs and concerns. I see the Black American voting bloc has finally begun to divorce the Democratic Party. At the same time, Americans of all stripes are sick of the divisive rhetoric that gets politicians elected but keeps neighborhoods apart, unquote. Again, have you met the head of your party?
Yeah. Yeah.
Her campaign website features several embedded YouTube videos of her talking about things like the horrors of DEI and ending birthright citizenship, with a giant picture of Donald Trump rampant against an American flag as her background.
So she wasn't afraid to put Donald Trump on her website.
Absolutely not. Out there, big and proud, right behind her.
And to top them all off, Casey Chelbeck is running for U.S. Senate on a platform of cutting practically every form of taxation you can think of. That's his MAGNA plan. Oh, Magnum is the condoms. This is MAGNA. Okay. MAGNA. Making America the greatest nation again. Good luck with that, Casey. Casey is the former president of the Polish-American Congress Illinois division, and his website features all the usual MAGA yada yada about open borders, CRT, and Trump being awesome. And damn it, he is not a politician. But I think the real story here is found in the second line of his campaign resume. He put this on his website.
He did.
Quote, former Commodore of the Chicago Yachting Association and the Joseph Conrad Yacht Club, unquote.
I'm sold.
Come on. If you write about politics and you can't take yachts, Commodore Casey, and tax cuts and run all the way downfield with it, then get out of the business, kid.
Yeah.
The New York Times missed this one?
They missed all of it. They missed all of it because it isn't, interesting.
Isn't the story. Isn't the story we're trying to tell.
Because we're
right?
flyover country. Yeah. We're just flyover country. And, Pritzker's a name, and therefore what goes on in Illinois in this one election. This is like a Cubs game on Friday afternoon. There's nobody else playing in ball on that time. So you have to pay attention to that one game. And honestly, if the legacy media had just bothered to only dig as deep as we have, the range of candidates who are showing up to get creamed by Democrats can tell you a whole lot about the state of the Republican Party in 2026. It shows you how fragmented it is. They're from candidates proudly pinning their colors to the mast of Donald Trump's sinking ship, to candidates who want to run on MAGA culture war issues but not mention Trump by name, to candidates who still think it's 1996. Speaking of Illinois and political primaries and people who still think we live in the before time, the Bulwark's Sarah Longwell and David Axelrod, political consultant to the stars, got together to talk about how Democrats are doing it all wrong, Blue Gal. Yep. And they threw around phrases like the people and the public and the voters a lot, as if those phrases mean anything. So let's start with a riddle about what the people want.
Okay, here's the riddle. Yesterday, here in Springfield, the temperature dropped like a rock down into the teens. We had wild winds, and we got maybe an inch of snow. That was after rain in the morning.
Yep.
And which the residual heat in the sidewalks and driveways mostly melted, and the streets were pretty clear, although there were icicles hanging off the cars.
Right.
The same day, parts of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and northern Wisconsin got at least 20 inches of snow over the since Saturday.
Also true.
Now, the same day, Driftglass got a text from his sister in Arizona saying that she expected it to hit 100 degrees in Phoenix, and it didn't quite get that high. It got up to about 93.
So, if you take all this together, here's the riddle. Let's ask ourselves this question. Do the people want the furnace turned on or the air conditioner? Do the people need to break out the shovels and snowblowers or the sunscreen? See, because this kind of lazy abstraction is particularly stark when set against right next to some very clear-cut observations about identifiable groups of actual voters. It creates an unresolvable tension when the language jumps back and forth between sweeping generalizations and specificity. When talking about Julia Stratton's Fuck Trump ad, in which ordinary Illinois voters and combat veteran and future senior U.S. Senator from Illinois, Tammy Duckworth, said fuck Trump to the camera, and Julia Stratton merely said, I approve this message. Then, in conversation with Sarah Longwell, David Axelrod said this, quote, I had a strong feeling that it would cut through. I think that's the attitude of particularly a lot of Democratic voters. She is speaking to something real, which is that there is an element of the Democratic electorate that wants fighters who will take Trump on frontally and so on. There are others who want to win and govern. unquote.
Uh-huh.
Fuck you. Because you notice the distinction, right? The false choice between some Democrats who want to take Trump on, while the other choice, the wise choice, are the voters who want to win and govern. But you know what? As bullshit as that false dichotomy is, at least Axelrod is talking about an identifiable group of actual voters.
Right. Now compare that with this. This is Axelrod speaking again. Quote, I think increasingly, as I said earlier, I think increasingly there's going to be a hunger for a different kind of politics. It's 2008 all over again. I think this is the mistake, the potential mistake that Governor Newsom is making, because he has concluded that being the biggest, baddest troll on the block, anti-Trump troll on the block, is his ticket to the nomination. And I think by the time that race comes around, that's not going to be what the market's asking for. They're going to be, I don't think Democratic voters say we have to get our own Trump. They're going to say we need the anti-Trump. We need someone who's going to bring in a different set of values, completely different set of values. I think the country is going to be in the mood for a cleansing, not a continuation of the kind of politics that Trump modeled, unquote.
Now, I hope you notice the passive language. I think increasingly there's going to be a hunger for a different kind of politics. Really? Who exactly is going to hunger for that? Which voters want that and in which states? Notice also that we're no longer talking about specific groups of people like Democratic voters.
Right.
Instead, we're hearing legacy media pundits speak about the country and what the market is asking. And this isn't a new development for Axelrod. Back in January of 2019, the then newly elected Representative Rashida Tlaib told a crowd that she was going to take on President Trump hours after she was sworn into office, saying before a crowd of supporters, we're going to go in and impeach the motherfucker.
Axelrod's reaction, come on, I get the anger, but is this helpful? No, it's not. Again, pundit speak. Honestly, if you were a space alien listening to Axelrod and Longwell talk about Illinois and national politics, you would have no idea that the Obama administration had ever happened. And you would definitely have no idea that the berserk Republican backlash to the Obama administration had ever happened. Because it sure sounds like they want Democrats to rerun the Obama 2008 campaign in 2028.
Yeah, and let's be clear about where Axelrod is coming from. He's a guy who won the political lottery by looking into working for a generational political talent like Barack Obama, a talent that nobody saw coming. If you look at a photo of Bill Clinton's January 2001, and I have this photo, victory lap in Chicago, where he made his stop, up on the stage, you'll see the heavy hitters of the Illinois Democratic Party and politics. There's Daley, there's Durbin, there's Bobby Rush. They're all up there, crowded around the main stage with the big dog at the Palmer House, Hilton's Grand Ballroom. Obama was just another state senator. He's not there at all. Not just another state senator. He's one who had just a few months earlier run for the U.S. House of Representatives against Bobby Rush in the Democratic primary and lost decisively. He was, at that moment, a man with few prospects for higher office.
3 years later, Obama was the Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate from Illinois and delivering the keynote address at the 2004 Democratic National Convention in Boston. That was the Purple State speech.
Mm-hmm.
And he won his Illinois U.S. Senate race on the basis of three factors. First, definitely that DNC keynote address. That put him on the stage. Very bipartisan, very let's all come together and solve our collective problems. We aren't red states and blue states. We're the United States, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Second, his opposition to the war in Iraq. Very good timing on his part. And third was a sex scandal that derailed the Republican nominee. Jack Ryan, ex-husband of Star Trek actor Jerry Ryan, which was followed by the disastrous decision by the Illinois Republican Party to import from out of state a lunatic named Alan Keyes to run against Obama because they believed they needed a black guy. And any black guy would do.
Didn't matter.
And it mattered a lot because he was a disaster. And for the record, Obama won the Senate seat in a landslide, beating Alan Keyes with about 70% of the vote. one of the largest margins in Illinois Senate history. And suddenly he's not a marginal political actor in Illinois politics anymore. He's the man in the middle of the stage. And he'd run on a platform that should sound very familiar to Democrats. Ethics in government reform, healthcare expansion, economic fairness, and middle-class opportunity. Also, his opposition to the Iraq War, and once again, bipartisan problem solving.
Yeah, a different kind of cleansing, cleansing of a different kind of politics, Blue Gal. And this is why in 2005, Tom Daschle advised him that if he was ever going to run for president, he'd better do it in 2008. Because now he was the exciting new outsider. But after 8 years of Bush, people will be looking for an outsider. But if Obama stayed in the Senate, odds are that Hillary would win in 2008, which means Obama probably wouldn't have a shot until 2016. And by then, who even knows? He would have lost his exciting outsider status, probably taken several hard votes that would piss off the base. And by 2016, Republicans may have become the insurgent outsiders. And the rest of this The war in Iraq became a catastrophe. Photos showing Bush's torture regime came out. Hurricane Katrina had exposed the Bush administration's criminal incompetence. The global economy was in free fall, and Obama ran, and he won, and it was very, very exciting.
And he immediately ran into something he had never encountered as a state senator in Illinois. A Republican Party led by partisan Fox News-addicted fanatics who would rather see the country burn than let him govern, and a legacy media ready and eager to put the responsibility for relentless Republican slander, birtherism, and sabotage on Obama. Why won't he lead? Why won't he just compromise more?
Yes, Obama did say that he wanted to heal the nation and bring us together, which is certainly what clueless, undecided voters wanted to hear. But it was also a huge strategic mistake. In making that pledge, Obama bet his political capital on Republican good intentions and good faith, and in doing so, he made himself hostage to political thugs and bigots who openly despised him and were now dedicated to making him fail.
This is from NBC News, November 4th, 2010. Quote, GOP leaders' top goal, make Obama one-term president, unquote. And we all know that was Mitch McConnell.
Yep.
From the Brookings Institution essay by Ornstein and Mann that we frequently quote, April 27th, 2012, quote, the GOP has become an insurgent outlier in American politics. It is ideologically extreme, scornful of compromise, unmoved by conventional understanding of facts, evidence, and science, and dismissive of the legitimacy of its political opposition. When one party moves this far from the mainstream, it makes it nearly impossible for the political system to deal constructively with the country's challenges. I don't know whether to laugh or cry at that, Driftglass.
Oh, but
that was 4 years before Trump's first election, and it's gotten so much worse.
Yeah.
And they said it was going to get worse. They predicted it was going to get worse.
Yeah. So as we do this little no fair remembering stuff on primary day, ask yourself in the back of your mind, have things gotten better or worse? Have they gotten better or worse? Have they improved or not? And for the record, this was me back in November of 2010. Quote, in order to avoid wasting his presidency, squandering the opportunity we have given him, and letting the country spiral into a permanent corporate feudal pest hole, Barack Obama must do the hardest thing of all. He must exceed his design specifications. This is not unprecedented, but like Franklin Roosevelt, the capitalist turned social democrat, or Abraham Lincoln, the compromiser turned emancipator, Obama must let go of a central pillar of his identity and embrace the brutal fact that our modern house divided against itself cannot stand, that we cannot endure permanently half fox and half free, that we will become all one thing or all the other. And this is your fight, President Obama. This burden has fallen to you. It cannot be shirked and it cannot be delegated. If you take up this challenge, millions of us will have your back, Mr. President. But if you cannot summon the inner strength to evolve past your reflexive need to compromise with people who want to destroy you, then we are all well and truly fucked, unquote.
But Obama didn't listen to Driftglass. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
And so for almost his entire presidency, Obama found himself caught in this vicious media pincer movement. In conservative media, including your favorite future never Trump conservatives in the legacy media, Obama could do no right. He was irredeemable, the worst president in history, the most racist president ever, the most divisive president ever. The mild-mannered people in the media on the right just said he was so indecisive.
Mm-hmm.
But the hardcore people said he was lazy. You know, don't forget he wore a tan suit.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to kill your sainted white Meemaw with his sinister death panels. And maybe he wasn't even a real American. Meanwhile, in the mainstream legacy media, there was the relentless insistence that it was entirely up to Obama and the Democrats to find common ground with the people who were busy spending every day demonizing him as some barely human monster.
And then, of course,
this is where I wish Harry Truman was still alive.
I know. Or Lyndon Johnson.
Or Lyndon Johnson. To just say, fuck these.
Or, as I've said before, the lesson of Harold Washington. Because this is exactly what happened to Harold Washington.
Yeah, yeah.
He won. More than half of the Democratic Party of Chicago turned against him because they were racist.
Right.
And they hamstrung him. And he named fucking names. He called them out by name. He pointed to them and said, they're the reason you're not getting the services you need, as opposed to trying to compromise, begging them to meet him halfway or 3/4 of the way.
Right.
And then, of course, there was the whole fucking Tea Party thing, which is just a giant Republican rebranding exercise because they didn't want to be held responsible for all the shit they said and did during the Bush administration. And although it has somehow escaped David Axelrod's attention, now 18 years after the election of Barack Obama, the incipient fascism that has always been at the heart of the GOP did not dry up and blow away under Obama's decent, enlightened, bipartisan, open-hearted leadership because Republicans recognized all those virtues as weaknesses and exploited the hell out of them. And as a result, the GOP is now a full-on fascist party in control of the entire federal government, with its brown shirts running amok in our streets and killing our citizens, and its tentacles spread to media, corporate ownership, foreign policy, and on and on and on. And whether Trump leaves office toes first or not, the monstrous party that raised him up to power will still be there, as will the 70 million bigots and imbeciles who voted for him 3 fucking times.
Right. Which is why the number one priority of any Democratic candidate for president in 2028 must be tearing out the Republican Party root and branch, and the prosecution of all those who have committed crimes against our democracy. And we don't much care if they get to the White House quoting the Bible or Eugene Debs or Dashiell Hammett.
When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
And right on schedule, as David French demonstrated in the New York fucking Times just a few days ago, this notion of clearly identifying those who brought this existential emergency down on our heads and holding them responsible for what they have done will probably be very, very unpopular with the legacy media and that great mass of ignorant, undecided centrist voters whose stupid opinions we are supposed to take seriously. Because according to the rules under which the legacy media operates, the public zeitgeist must never, ever be allowed to settle on Jesus Christ, the Republicans are actually the problem, because that would spoil everything.
Instead, right around the 6th or 7th paragraph of every professional pundit's hot take on what obscenity the Trump regime has unleashed on America and the world today, some liberal or some Democrat somewhere, either wholly imaginary or wildly exaggerated, must be dragged into it. And like magic, speech codes at some Ivy League school will suddenly become nearly as bad as encroaching Republican fascism, or speculation that if Democrats had half a chance, surely they too would nominate and elect someone just as monstrous as Trump. Thanks, David Axelrod.
And in this
a lot of Democrats want Trump light.
Yeah. Well, and in this regard, David French has actually managed to out-Brooks David Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Because instead of doing what David Brooks does, which is a trope I call a razor in the apple, which is reporting on Republican depravity while slowly creeping up on blaming both sides about halfway through the column, David French dares to do the opposite making an apple out of razors, dropping one both-siderist turd after another as he slowly creeps up on one paragraph explaining that he's not really doing what he is obviously doing.
Like Liz Cheney, the late Michael Gerson, David Brooks, Michael Steele, Tim Miller, Charlie Sykes, Mona Charen, Kathleen Parker, and hundreds more. David French is just one more conservative culture warrior who spent his entire career enthusiastically building a monster which would eventually turn on him and chase him out of the party. A monster whose poisonous nature he took to be a virtue as long as its ferocity was directed at the so-called left.
And when people like us, years ago, decades ago, recognized this monster for what it was and pushed back against it, well, you'll never guess how David French remembers it. Quote, the online response from the right to my argument, however, was volcanic. I was accused of legitimizing heresy. Another writer said I'd suffered an apparent brain injury. My appreciation of Tallarico's approach even put the soul of evangelicalism at risk. Once again, I was written entirely out of the Christian faith by angry Trumpist evangelicals. And here's the money shot. In their anger and vitriol, I saw the mirror image of the far left intolerance I've encountered through much of my career.
Both sides.
Both sides. Yeah. Yeah. The Nazis and the people who fought against Nazis were both very angry, Blue Gal. And we're not going to make...
there was vitriol with the Jews and the Nazis.
On both sides. On both sides. And who really am I to judge which is worse or which is better or who has the moral high ground and who doesn't?
Yeah. Yeah. French treats hatred as if it were a pandemic that just cropped up out of nowhere and has no specific traceable cause. There is no mention of Fox News or the fact that racism, misogyny, and blind hatred of the left has been the mother tongue of the Republican Party for his entire adult life, that it has been stoked by the right for ratings and votes and billions in profits.
French gives no inkling that until he got run out of the party, this was the team he very happily played for.
Let me explain your mistake here. So Rush is on Hannity's team? They're the competition. They're GOP party hacks.
So he thinks he's way ahead of them, so steal from Drudge and Breitbart, not talk radio.
Okay.
Also stop worrying if a story's legit. If you can't source it, just go with some are saying. Seriously?
You have to adopt the mentality of an Irish street cop. The world is a bad place. People are lazy morons. Minorities are criminals. Sex is sick but interesting. Ask yourself what would scare my grandmother or piss off my grandfather. And that's a Fox story. Are you writing this down?
Oh, it makes so much sense.
Frighten, titillate.
Right.
Frighten, titillate. Frighten, titillate.
And now that the damage is done, now that his party has dropped the final veil and bared its fascist fangs for all the world to see, we get one paragraph like this after another. Quote, for example, in a 2022 survey, Pew found that large shares of Democrats and Republicans thought of each other as closed-minded, dishonest, immoral, and unintelligent, and the measurements are getting worse every year, unquote. And this, quote, both sides hate each other so much that it's almost meaningless to ask who hates whom more, unquote. And this, quote, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, the best way to imagine the other side's point of view is to simply mirror your own attitude. They despise you with the same intensity that you despise them. They view you with the same sense of threat and alarm that you view them, unquote. And then finally comes the perfunctory disclaimer, quote, to say that both sides view each other with equivalent disdain is not to say that both sides are equally dangerous, unquote.
Oh, thank God.
Which is just the way the legacy media likes it.
Yeah. Yeah. Not trying to both sides this.
Yeah. After spending half his column doing nothing but that.
Right.
Nothing but that.
Right.
Yep.
All right. We're going to do a news roundup of just one story tonight, Driftglass.
Because then we got to jump on the news and see what's going on with the politics out there in the world.
Yeah. We got to see who's going to be our senator.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say I'll be happy no matter who wins, because I did vote for one candidate. Mm-hmm. If you were listening carefully, you know who it was. But, if Raja is to win and be the nominee of my party, I'm going to vote for him.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I will say about Stratton is she came out publicly and said that she thought it was time for Chuck Schumer to retire.
Yes.
and that she would not be voting for him for Senate majority or minority leader.
Yeah.
So there's that.
You know what? I will say this about David Axelrod. Let's say one nice thing about David Axelrod, which is during this interview, he did say, as a boomer, it's time for us to step aside.
Yep.
And let younger leadership take over.
Yeah.
And he's right. On that, we agree 100%.
Yeah.
It is time for the olds to get out of the way and let the youngs and the youngers take power because, we've done what we could and we've left, I think, enough markers, enough warning signs, enough, do not unearth this thing because it's toxic around the Republican Party that unless you are a deeply committed MAGA lunatic, you do understand at some level that one party is actually dangerous in this country and one is just bumbling sometimes and wrong sometimes.
And I am grateful for the Jewish Democratic candidates in Illinois.
Yes.
Who have been highly critical of Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah. And clear about it. Yeah.
And not shy about saying so.
No.
So, and in favor of Palestinian homeland or state or whatever, but being very forthright about human rights in the Middle East. And that's the model going forward, which is you can be against Bibi Netanyahu and not be an anti-Semite.
But you can be against Donald Trump and not be and not hate America.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. One story, Driftglass. This is from NBC. Quote, President Donald Trump told reporters on Monday that one of his predecessors told him he wished he had been the one to bomb Iran. It appears he did not speak to any of the 4 former presidents. An aide for George W. Bush told NBC News that they haven't been in touch, while an aide to Bill Clinton told NBC News that whoever Trump was referring to was not Clinton. An Obama aide said no recent conversations have taken place between Barack Obama and Trump. And a source familiar with the matter said the former President Trump was referring to was not Joe Biden. There's only 4 of them.
There's only 4 of them.
The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the denials Monday night. Earlier in the day, Trump claimed twice to have spoken to a former president about Iran. I've spoken to a certain president, who I like actually, a past president, former president. He said, I wish I did it. I wish I did. But they didn't do it. I'm doing it, yeah? Trump said at a lunch for Kennedy Center board members. You mean the ones that he put there?
Yeah, bootlickers and lackeys. Yeah.
Yeah. Later in the day, Trump repeated the claim in the Oval Office, saying, I spoke to one of the former presidents who I actually like. I actually speak to some. There's only 4 of them, Donald. I actually speak to some, and he said, I wish I did what you did. Asked by a reporter to elaborate on which president he was speaking to. I think it's some NFL president.
I think he's just lying. He just make sure.
He's just fucking lying.
Yeah, because why wouldn't he? Because nobody's going to challenge him.
Trump did not specify. He said it wasn't Bush and then said, I don't want to say, when he was asked if it was Clinton.
Yeah, what's Marco Rubio going to come clomping into the room in his giant shoes and say, you didn't actually talk to it. That was Jed Bartlett or a portrait of Andrew Johnson you talked to, but no actual president who's ever been president has ever spoken.
Wants to speak to you, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say because a member of a party, they have Trump derangement syndrome, but it's somebody that happens to like me. And I like that person who's a smart person. But that person said, I wish I did it. Okay, but I don't want to get into who. I don't want to get him into trouble, Trump said. It never happened. Things that never happened.
A long, long, long list of lies that never, they're just stupid lies. Just stupid lies. Stupid lies.
Yeah.
But, he gets to say those things because, sorry, David Axelrod, the 70 million bigots and imbeciles who voted for this guy are going to still be here after he's gone.
Yeah.
And something has to be done about him other than saying, we need a different kind of politics. We need to hold hands. Different kind of politics.
Well, how about we start with ending the brainwashing machine that is Fox News?
How about a smoking hole in the ground where Fox News used to be?
Yeah.
How about that? How about use some of those Tomahawk missiles?
I'm not preaching violence here, but we have to prosecute them for brainwashing their audience.
Yeah. Well,
it's conscious and obvious.
Or at least we have to insist that whatever the fuck is left of the legacy media, say that out loud.
Right.
Not say, there's a lot of good people that work at Fox. There's a lot of good reporters going on over there.
All the time on the campaign trail. Right. We got it.
Yeah.
Katie Tur.
Yeah.
We got how drunk they got you. We got that.
Cool. It's cool. Anyway.
That's just allegedly, by the way.
Just allegedly. No, there's no proof of that. I spoke to a former president who said that she got drunk.
Definitely got drunk on the campaign trail.
I spoke to
on
several
Fox News booze.
I spoke to over 17 former presidents.
They all said she.
I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say who. They like me.
Say who.
Yeah, but they told me specifically that she got drunk.
Katie True as a lush.
Yeah,
yes,
drunk as a skunk.
Right.
Yeah. She started singing. I don't know what that song was, but she flipped up her skirt and ran around and said, "I'm a highway. I'm a highway. I'm a highway." I don't know what even that means, but 17 presidents confirmed that that's what she did.
All right, we're getting a little punchy here, folks.
Yeah, it's late, and we got to
go and watch primary results. So feel free to write to both of us at proleftpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. Be aware that if you write to us at any of our addresses, we reserve the right to read your email or U.S. Postal Service. Go Postal Unions. Letter on the air unless you say otherwise. And thank you for supporting our show at patreon.com or on Venmo. If you go on the Venmo app, you can look for Pro Left Pod. And there's a picture of both of us there. And donate that way. Thank you so much.
You can also help us by sharing our show on social media. So if you love this podcast, please get someone else to listen to it too. And I will be on with Mr. Bob Seska tomorrow. So, yeah, I know.
What?
I don't know what we're going to talk about. Probably he's got this thing called Trek Politics. I'm going to try to make him do that with me. That's what I'm trying
I think he's going to want to talk about the Illinois primaries.
Probably so. He's a good egg. Bob's a good egg. And thank you for doing that.
Hey, Driftglass, how are the Internet Kitties doing this week?
Well, Blue Gal, the Internet Kitties feel it's only right and fair that on this day, we play you out with this venerable Irish poem.
Well, the pint of plain is your only man. When money's quite hard to get, and your horses also ran. When all you have is a heap of debt, the pint of plain is your only man. It's your only man, your only man. Well, the pint of plain, your only man.
Let's think about living. Let's think about loving. Let's think about the hooping and the hopping and the bopping and the loving, lovey-dovey. Let's forget about the wine and the crying, the shooting and the dying, and the fellow with a switchblade knife. Let's think about living. Let's think about life.
The Professional Left Podcast is produced and recorded under a Creative Commons license. Copyright DGBG Productions. ProLeftPod.com.